All right, so today we're diving into some Ohio politics.
Okay.
We're looking at a recent event involving Frank LaRose, Ohio's Secretary of State.
Right.
That's the guy who oversees elections in the state.
Gotcha.
And this story has kind of made headlines and sparked outrage.
Really?
Yeah, and left a lot of people just scratching their heads. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, what's interesting about this is it's not like a single event, you know?
Yeah.
We're diving into the public reaction.
Right.
Especially online.
Yeah.
Like on Reddit and stuff.
It's crazy.
How divided people are, even over basic, like, right and wrong.
It's wild. So we've got two main sources for this deep dive.
Okay.
First, a news article from the State House News Bureau.
All right.
They lay out, like, the basic facts.
Okay.
Then we're jumping headfirst into the wild world of Reddit.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
A thread on Ohio to see what everyday Ohioans are saying.
I see.
And let me tell you, it gets pretty spicy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
It's that stark contrast.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the formal tone of the news report
Right.
versus just raw, unfiltered opinions.
Just like out there.
Just like people going off.
Yeah. Just how differently people process information, I guess.
Yeah.
React to these situations.
Totally.
Like,
So let's start with the basics.
all right.
The State House News Bureau article reports that LaRose
Yeah.
received a threatening letter at his home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
At his home.
Yeah, and it contained a suspicious powdery substance.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and naturally, this caused a major scare for his family.
You think?
Especially his 3 young daughters were home at the time.
Oh, my goodness.
You imagine?
Like evacuating your home late at night with your kids
Yeah.
while a hazmat team is there.
It's terrifying.
It's got to leave a lasting impact.
For sure.
It's a stark reminder that, like,
Yeah.
political disagreements can escalate
Oh, yeah.
to dangerous levels.
Totally. And to add to the intrigue,
What?
the article mentions that LaRose's car was stolen last year.
No way.
From his garage.
Really?
Yeah, and get this, the police report states
Yeah.
that an American Express card was also missing.
Huh.
Like, what's going on here?
It's like another layer of mystery.
I know, right?
We can't jump to conclusions,
Of course not.
but it's weird.
He seems to be embroiled in more than just this recent threat.
Totally. All right, now let's look at the Reddit thread,
Okay.
where the public reaction is a whole different beast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So while the news article focuses on the facts of the threat,
Right.
the Reddit thread explodes with opinions about LaRose himself
Okay.
and whether he brought this upon himself.
Through his actions.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's that lack of sympathy
Yeah.
from some users that's so striking.
What are they saying?
They're saying his policies are so egregious,
Mm.
so harmful, that this type of threat is almost justified.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you see comments like thoughts and prayers,
Mm-hmm.
but like dripping with sarcasm.
Oh, my God. Some are even comparing it to the French Revolution,
Wow.
invoking that eat the rich sentiment.
That's heavy.
Yeah, and that eat the rich comment is telling.
Yeah.
It's like the system is rigged, you know,
Yeah.
in favor of the wealthy and powerful,
Right.
leaving ordinary citizens feeling left behind.
Feeling ignored.
Yeah, it's like a potent expression of frustration.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the Redditors don't hold back.
What do they accuse him of?
They accuse him of everything.
Like,
Obstructing the will of the people,
Okay.
engaging in voter suppression tactics, pushing policies against reproductive rights and LGBTQ plus rights,
Wow.
and even gerrymandering.
So manipulating voting districts to benefit a certain party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand what these accusations mean.
Right.
Like, voter suppression tactics
Mm-hmm.
can include things like making it harder to register to vote
Wow.
or reducing the number of polling places.
In specific areas.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's about creating barriers to voting, often targeting marginalized communities.
Right.
So these aren't just like abstract arguments.
Right.
They're about people's fundamental right to participate.
In democracy.
Yeah.
Wow, it's easy to get lost in the back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But when you explain it like that, it really hits home.
Right.
It's no wonder people are upset.
No kidding.
But it's not totally one-sided on Reddit.
Oh, really?
No. There are people who defend LaRose,
Okay.
condemning the threats regardless of his stance.
Makes sense.
They're saying that resorting to threats and violence is never acceptable,
Right.
no matter how much you disagree.
Yeah, like a push for civility.
For sure.
Can't lose sight of basic human decency.
Yeah, even in the heat of political battles.
Exactly.
But some are also bringing up other politicians who've been targeted,
Okay.
like Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
It's a reminder that threats and violence are becoming way too common.
Yeah, it highlights a concerning trend.
Yeah.
like the erosion of civil discourse.
For sure.
It's dangerous if threats and violence become normal.
Yeah, to political disagreement.
Yeah.
This deep dive has already been a whirlwind,
I bet.
and we're just getting started.
Oh, no.
In the next part, we're going to dissect these viewpoints even more
Can't wait.
and try to understand what they tell us about political discourse today.
Sounds good.
It's going to be a bumpy ride, so stay tuned.
Okay, I'm buckled up. So, picking up where we left off, let's unpack those views a bit.
Yeah, it's not all just doom and gloom on Reddit.
Okay, good.
Some people, even those who really disagree with LaRose,
Right.
are drawing a line when it comes to threats.
They're saying fight the policies, not the people.
Yeah, exactly.
They're arguing for basic human decency, that everyone deserves to feel safe at home.
Yeah, it's just wrong to target someone's family like that.
Especially with kids involved.
For sure.
It's a serious ethical no-no.
Then there are those looking at this with a skeptical eye.
Really?
Yeah, questioning the timing of it all.
With the rumors about LaRose maybe aiming higher.
Exactly.
That's a fair point.
It's natural to think about the political context
Right.
when a public figure makes a claim like this.
Is it legitimate or is there something else going on?
Yeah, is there some political maneuvering at play?
Politicians operate in a world of strategy.
And optics.
Right.
And that's where things get really interesting on Reddit.
Oh, boy.
You see some wild speculation?
Like what?
Some users are even suggesting LaRose might have staged it
Staged the whole thing.
for sympathy or to discredit his opponents.
Wow, that's a serious accusation.
I know, right?
But we have no evidence for that.
Of course not.
It's purely speculation.
Right.
But the fact that it's even circulating is telling.
About what?
The erosion of trust in our leaders.
Yeah. And institutions?
People are ready to believe the worst.
Even without proof.
It's wild.
It seems like everyone's looking for an angle.
Yeah, trying to fit it into their worldview.
But even among those who believe the threat was real, there's debate about whether LaRose is really a victim. Some argue that his policies have caused harm.
And therefore, he should expect backlash.
Does the end justify the means? That's a tough one.
Even if you acknowledge the impact of his policies,
Yeah.
does that give anyone the right to threaten him?
Or his family.
Right. Where do we draw the line?
No easy answers there.
I know.
But it's important to have these conversations,
I think so, too.
to grapple with the nuance.
It's easy to get caught up in the outrage.
Right.
But we need to engage in good faith.
Even when we disagree.
And it's not just about LaRose.
Right.
People are comparing this to Nancy Pelosi.
Whose husband was attacked.
Yeah, it's a reminder that this isn't an isolated incident.
It's a disturbing trend.
This incident becomes a lens.
To examine political violence.
An intimidation.
It's dangerous when this stuff becomes normal.
We need to ask how we got here.
And what we can do.
It's like a Rorschach test for people's belief.
There are assumptions about power.
Accountability.
The limits of behavior.
It's all coming to the surface. The LaRose incident isn't just about a letter.
It's a microcosm of anxiety.
Of division.
Of mistrust.
Plagues our society.
And the internet has become the battleground.
Especially Reddit.
The anonymity
Reach.
allows people to express themselves differently,
That in person.
which can lead to escalation.
And extreme rhetoric.
And let's not forget the algorithms,
Right.
prioritizing content that evokes strong emotions,
Outrage and anger.
creating echo chambers,
Where people only see what confirms their biases.
leading to more polarization.
And look at the language being used.
LaRose is being called a snake.
A fascist?
It's worse.
That's dehumanizing.
It's dangerous.
Because it makes it easier to justify aggression
And violence.
when we reduce people to labels.
We lose sight of their humanity.
And ultimately our own.
It's a vicious cycle.
The more polarized we
The
become,
more likely we are to use that language.
which deepens the divides.
And words have consequences.
This isn't just online debate.
Real people are affected.
Threats, even online, can have a chilling effect.
On free speech,
Hit our participation.
we've seen anger,
Cynicism.
calls for violence,
Pleas for civility.
everything.
It's a snapshot of political discourse today.
Where do we go from here?
How do we bridge these divides
And have productive conversations.
without attacks and threats?
It feels like we're in a downward spiral.
It's a tough question.
I know.
No easy answers,
Okay.
but I think the first step is awareness.
What?
Our role in shaping the discourse.
Okay.
Whether we're commenting online
Talking to friends?
or just listening to the news,
We need to be mindful
of our own biases.
and how we contribute.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the moment
To fire off that angry tweet.
or make that snarky comment.
Is it really helping, though?
Are we contributing to a productive conversation?
Sometimes the most powerful thing is to just listen.
To really listen.
Even if we disagree.
Trying to understand where they're coming from.
Their fears.
You don't have to agree.
But engage with empathy.
And respect.
It's a tall order.
Especially now.
But I think you're right.
It starts with individual choices.
To be more thoughtful.
And compassionate.
And creating spaces for these conversations.
Where people feel safe.
To express their views.
Fear.
Where we can disagree respectfully.
This deep dive has been a lot.
I bet.
It's been unsettling.
Eye-opening.
Depressing even.
How valuable.
It's forced us to confront some truths.
About our discourse.
And our role in it.
And that's the first step.
Toward change.
We can't fix what we don't acknowledge.
So as you go about your day,
think about how you can contribute.
To a better dialogue.
It might seem small.
But those choices can have a ripple effect.
Maybe we can turn the tide.
So we made it to the final part of this deep dive. And I gotta say, this LaRose story's been a wild one.
It really has.
Threatening letters, stolen credit cards, Reddit going crazy.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
But beyond all the drama and the headlines, what does it all mean?
Well, it's a reminder that we're at a crossroads, you know?
Yeah.
The LaRose incident and those intense reactions, they point to a bigger issue. The breakdown of civil discourse.
Right.
The rise of political polarization.
Yeah, we see how quickly things escalate.
Uh-huh.
Disagreements turn to anger, and then anger to threats.
It's like we've lost the ability to disagree respectfully.
Yeah, to see the humanity in people with different views.
Everyone's in their own trenches, you know?
Yeah, ready to attack.
And that's a dangerous place to be when we demonize our opponents.
And dismiss their concerns.
We shut down dialogue.
And compromise.
We create a climate of fear and mistrust.
Where violence can take root.
Exactly.
So how do we break out of this cycle?
Well, it's a tough question.
It feels like a downward spiral.
There's no easy fix.
Right.
But awareness is the first step.
Okay.
We need to recognize our own role.
In shaping the political discourse.
Whether it's online or offline.
With friends or family.
Even just listening to the news.
We need to be mindful.
Of our own biases.
And how we might be contributing to the problem.
It's so easy to just react.
To fire off that angry tweet.
To make a snarky comment.
But we need to ask ourselves, is this helping?
Are we making things better?
Are we contributing to a productive conversation?
Sometimes the best thing is to just listen.
Really listen.
Even if we disagree.
Try to understand the other side.
Their fears, their concerns.
We don't have to agree with them.
But we can engage with empathy.
And respect.
It's not easy.
Especially in today's world.
But it's essential.
It starts with us.
Making a conscious effort.
To be more thoughtful.
More compassionate.
And creating spaces for these conversations.
Safe spaces.
Where people can express themselves without fear.
Where disagreement doesn't mean disrespect.
This deep dive has been a journey.
It has.
It's been eye-opening.
And unsettling.
Honestly, a little depressing.
But it's been valuable.
It's forced us to confront some tough realities.
About our political landscape.
And our role in it.
That's a first step to change.
Recognizing the problem.
So as you go about your day,
think about how you can contribute.
To a more constructive dialogue.
A more compassionate way of engaging with each other.
It might seem small, but those choices matter.
They can make a difference.
And maybe, just maybe, we can start to turn things around.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another exploration of the issues shaping our world.